Stephanie, and this is Studio Gigi. Today I have a really easy watercolor tutorial for you. It is going to be of this little snowman with a little tufted titmouse sitting on his little arm there. Very easy, no drawing involved. You just are going to use your paints, and it is super easy, and I think you'll enjoy it. And if you like this kind of video, let me know in the comments if you like tutorials. This is probably my first one where I'm actually talking while I'm doing it, so you know, it might be a little rough sometimes, but I had a lot of fun doing it. And if this is something you like, just give it a thumbs up and enjoy. I'm going to send you right into the tutorial. Okay, for the supplies that you're going to need today, I'm going to be using a piece of Arches, and it's a 4.5 by 6 piece that I have already taped off. I have my palette with my toner watercolors. I'm using Ultramarine, Permanent Yellow, Quinacridone Magenta, Rose Madder Hue, and Payne's Gray. And I have 2 paint brushes that I plan on using. I may sneak a smaller one in there, but I have my Simply Simmons in a 10 round and my black gold in a 6 round. So those are the things that I'll be using today, and I possibly will be using the Milky White Pentel and just a regular metallic jelly roll for some detail work. Okay, well, let's get started. So I am going to take my paintbrush and get it pretty good and wet, and I'm going to use a little bit of the Ultramarine and a tiny bit of the Magenta. I'm gonna get that really good and wet. I am actually not going to be drawing this. I'm just going to use the water because it's pretty simple, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to make a circle, part of a circle for the midsection of my snowman. Get that really good and wet. And then I'm going to come in, just add a little bit more here, a little bit more of that, and make just a purple. And I just realized I don't have my glasses on, and that's part of the problem. So let me grab my glasses. Oh yes, that is so much better. I have not actually made a circle here. Glasses are so wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit more water, and I'm going to actually make more of a circle. Okay, now I'm going to come in tap a little bit of that extra color around the bottom just for a shadow. Just around the edges a little bit, and just kind of brush that out. Snowmen are white, but on this white card, I want to give him a little bit of color. And actually probably made him a little more purple than I meant to, but that had a lot to do with not having my glasses on, you know? You can always come through and just pick up a little bit of that color. You get too much on there, and it's going to dry lighter as well, so alrighty. I'm actually gonna get a little bit of Payne's Gray, really dilute that. Just tap that in there a little bit. Okay. Let's give him a little bit of more color here. Give him some dimension. Okay, I'm gonna put his head in here. So I want to leave room for his hat. Just going to blend that in there. Just need a little circle there for his head. Now I'm going to let that dry, and then we will work on his scarf and his hat. Okay, so that's dry. I actually want to put a little more on his head, a little more color, not much. I'm just going to re-wet that. I'm going to use the technique wet on wet to do this. I get a tiny bit of Payne's Gray, very diluted, and just gonna come around here and then just kind of brush that around a little bit. You could actually just leave it alone and let it do its own thing, because watercolor has an amazing way of moving itself around, but I am bad about wanting to have some control, and I want it to do a certain thing for this particular little card here. I might actually do some of that down here as well. Just gonna brush that water out and just dot that very diluted Payne's Gray around in there. And I think right there I'm going to just let it do its thing. Maybe a little bit right there, pull that up. Just gonna pull that color up a little bit right there. Okay, I actually am much happier with that. So now I'm gonna let this dry. Okay, so now I am going to make a scarf, and for his scarf, I want a red scarf, and I'm gonna use a little bit of this Payne's Gray with my Quinacridone Magenta, and a little bit of Payne's Gray into that. I want to make a deep, well, that's pretty purple there, but that's okay. That's actually, I'm going to take an old test card. I actually really like that color. That's actually very pretty. I'm going to put a little more of that in there, of the rose madder hue. Alrighty, so just going to put his scarf on. So that, and then I'm going to come down with one end of the scarf. And I come over here with the other end. You can put your scarf however you want it. You could put it blowing in the wind, shorten it, lengthen it. You could even take the tape off at the bottom and make it go below the tape. But I am happy with what I have going on right here. I'll leave it just like that. And I'm gonna work on his hat. So for his hat, I'm going to use a little bit of the blue and the Payne's Gray. I don't want a truly black hat. So now I'm just going to come around here with the brim. I'm gonna put that on there first. This is my first tutorial, so I hope I'm not being annoying. It's bound to happen at some point though. Alrighty, and then I'm gonna put this part of his hat. I think maybe I'm gonna try to leave that there. Let's see what that looks like. So, and really when you're painting and drawing and everything, you're just looking for those shapes. I know the brim, I'm gonna kind of have a rounded rectangle, and same thing for the top of his hat. Looking for the shapes in these objects. I think I want to make his brim, let's see, a little bit more here. Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm gonna come back over it and put some, make it a little bit deeper. Deeper? What am I trying to say here? Well, I don't really know, so anyway. Okay, for his hat, I'm gonna darken his hat up a little bit, and I'm gonna use some Payne's Gray. I'm actually going to take some yellow, some blue, and some of the red. Okay. Took a minute to get to where I wanted, but I got it. Okay. So, going to darken the brim up a little bit, just through here. And I'm using wet on dry, because I want the paint to stay where I put it. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry up there. And then I'm gonna come down here to a scarf, and I wanna use a glazing technique to put a little more depth into that color. So I'm just gonna add a little blue, get a little purple going here. I'm going to grab some more of this color, and I'm going to come up here to the other part of his hat. I'm going to kind of leave just a thin band of that original color in there. I'm actually going to go over that with one of the pens, either the gel or the white pen. Okay, so there we have it. That's pretty much that as far as just the main part of the snowman. Now we're going to go in at his eyes, his nose, his stick arm, and we're going to put our little friend, the titmouse, on it. Okay, so that has dried, and I'm going to come through here on his scarf and add just a little bit of the Payne's Gray right through here, like it's bunched up right there around his neck. Just give it a little more definition there, and I'm going to come up on his hat and add a little bit more of the darker color. So now, pretty happy with what that looks like. I'm going to go through and add his eyes and his carrot nose and his mouth. And let's see, so I'm going to pick up some of this, a little bit of the blue, the Ultramarine, and the Payne's Gray. I'm going to kind of decide where his middle is, somewhere right in here. So I'm just going to use some irregular shapes for his eyes. I'm not going to be too specific about that. Not make them too... I like the irregularity of the shape. You know, because we don't make a lot of snowmen where I live. We don't have snow very often, and when we do, it's, you know, it's basically the end of the world here. But from what I gather on shows that I watch, when you make a snowman, you're just kind of going and grabbing a carrot out of the fridge and picking up some stuff around the yard and making your snowman. I don't know. That's what I figure anyway. Okay, so we got his eyes, and I am very happy with the shape of them. I'm going to mix up a little bit of orange for his little carroty nose. Okay, let's see. Over here. Let's see. Yeah, just a simple triangle with a rounded bottom. Will work. You can make it as big, little, however you want to make it. I'm gonna do it just like that. I like it. Okay. And now I'm going to make his mouth. And again, I'm just going to use some of the same colors that I did for his eye, maybe a little bit darker here. I'm just going to give him a nice little smile with some irregular, like pebbly looking things. Okay. One more. Okay, so I've made some brown with using the orange and the purple, and that's the color, and I'm happy with that. So now I'm just going to stick his arm in there, and I want to make it to where our little titmouse can stand on his arm. There. Bring that all the way to his body. Let that dry and we'll do our little titmouse. Okay, so I have my number 6 and I'm just going to make a teardrop, and the water is a little tinted, but I'm okay with that. I can see what I'm drawing. I'm gonna make a little teardrop shape. Right there. I'm okay if that bleeds a little bit. And I'm gonna drop in just a little bit of color using this wet on wet. So I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. I think I'll go ahead and add his wings though. Go ahead and put his wings in here and give him a little bit of some shading down here. I'll draw my brush a little bit and just kind of pick up some of that color around here. Okay. We're gonna let that dry. Okay, so now that that's dry, I'm gonna pick up a little bit of Payne's Gray, make it a little thicker, a little less diluted. And I'm going to put the little notch, well, it's not a notch, it's just a marking above his beak. Like that. I'm going to come through and add a little bit of rust color by mixing my brown with some of that orange right here at the tips of his wings. A little bit more orange there. Like that. And while those are drying, I'm going to add his little feet with some Payne's Gray. So I just want to make it wrap around the branch. And then this one, come down a little bit lower. Probably should have used a little bit smaller brush for that, but I didn't. And we're making it work anyway. Okay, now I'm going to add his little eyes in there. Actually going to use a smaller brush for this, like I should have done for his feet. I may be able to fix his feet. Yeah, you know what? I'm not worried about it. It'll be the little quirkiness of the card. I'm going to put an eye here. And you could actually use just a micron or some other waterproof marker so that it's a little bit easier. Then we're going to put his little beak. Right there. And I'm going to add a little more blue. I'm going to use wet on wet. I'm just going to add a little blue right through here. Brush this out a little bit. Tiny bit of blue. Okay, so I am going to give our snowman some little white things, little sparkles in his eyes, and maybe a little bit on his nose. Now I'm going to take my Sakura Metallic marker. I'm going to add a band up here to his hat. You could actually add some holly and maybe some leaves up there. And then I'm going to give him a little knot right here for his scarf. And I'm going to add just some lines down his scarf. You could add some little tassels down there. Just make it exactly how you want it. Okay, well, I do believe we're finished with our little snowman, and I am going to show you how I'm going to use this for a Christmas card. I'm going to be using one of these little blank cards. I think I got these at Hobby Lobby some time ago. And all I'm going to do with this is lay it flat and just kind of move it around, and I may actually add some embellishments to it. Okay, so there's our finished little painting that you can use for a Christmas card, or stick it right on the back of it, make a tag out of it, put it in a frame, whatever you want to do with it. Add more detail to it. I actually made a few more because I have many of these to make, and they all come out differently. And I love that. I love that they come out in different ways. And my little birds all are different. My little snowmen are all different. It's just a lot of fun. But I have a bunch more of these to make. So for now, I'm going to sign off, and I hope you had fun with this. Drop me a comment if you like these types of videos. And anyway, enjoy. Have a great day. Bye-bye.